Ukrar, the leader of the Horde, sent an ambassador to the dragons. Kogath was the ambassador's name. Kogath was one of the Orc generals, perhaps the strongest Orc at the time. Ukrar knew that only one of his strongest warriors had a chance of making it to the dragon capital Dragithir, high up on the eerie Darkfire Mountain. The path to the mountain led through no man's land, where you often encountered whole groups of shady characters out to raid. Murder and manslaughter happened daily in no man's land. Even though the Orcs were strong fighters, one Orc could not win against a whole group of different races. Once you reached the mountain, you had to avoid the dragons, who killed every intruder since they were banished to the mountain. Finally, the Orc had to use his oratory skills to convince the leader of the dragons, Dracus, not to kill him and to agree to the alliance. So Kogath set off for Dragithir. He set off with a few supplies and his battle axe. After a few days of marching, Kogath reached the border of no man's land. Kogath knew that from now on he had to be particularly careful and observe his surroundings. Kogath spent the first night in no man's land near a river, under a tree. He examined the area and set up camp there for the night. Kogath knew that he would not sleep well in no man's land, and that he had to be prepared for the worst even in the middle of the night. Already on the first night, Kogath heard noises. He heard a rustling, maybe even a very quiet whisper. Kogath was ready for a fight, but he knew the odds were against him, so he prepared for a fight but hid in a bush on the other side of the river. It wasn't long before Kogath couldn't believe his eyes. He knew immediately that it was the right decision to hide in the bushes. A group consisting of humans, halflings and elves investigated his camp. Normally, a maximum of 2 peoples joined together in these, but now there were even 3. The group was far too large to win a fight. Kogath watched the group from his hiding place. After a few minutes, the group left Kogath's sleeping place. Kogath packed his things and set off that night to reach his destination. He discovered a dwarf waiting by a tree. Kogath crept close to the dwarf. The dwarf noticed Kogath and lit a pile of leaves next to him. The dwarf then drew his hammer and ran towards Kogath. Kogath braced himself. With 2 quick blows, he was able to knock the dwarf down before he could even attack. Kogath searched the body and hid in nearby bushes. Within a very short time, a troop consisting of 6 humans and 6 elves arrived. They saw the body, looked around briefly and took the body with them. Kogath pursued the squad until they reached a camp. Kogath wanted to sneak past, but it was clear that this would not be an easy task. There were guards around the camp and the dwarf that Kogath had to kill. Kogath staged a diversionary maneuver by setting fire to some trees and bushes. While most humans, elves and dwarves ran toward the fire, Kogath snuck past everyone on the other side of the camp. Kogath marched 4 more days until he came near Darkfire Mountain. He has overcome the first hurdles, but now things have not become any less dangerous. He must overcome the dragons and convince Dracus to join the alliance. Kogath began his climb towards Dragithir. The higher he went, the more scorched earth and less vegetation there was. When he had made it a long way up the climb, he heard a strange noise. Kogath barricaded himself and saw a dragon in the air. It was an exciting sight, a large dragon flying through the air with its imposing body. Kogath barricaded himself behind a large rock. He crouched down to better hide behind the large rocks, but in doing so he caused small stones to roll. The big dragon heard this and immediately set course towards the big rock. Kogath knew that the dragon could detect him at any second, so he prepared to injure the dragon with one swing of his battle axe. The dragon flew towards the rock at an insane speed. Kogath waited for the right moment, jumped off the rock towards the dragon, and with a strong blow he hit the dragon's right wing. The dragon let out a loud scream and began breathing fire towards Kogath. Kogath ran as fast as he could, dodging the fire again and again. The dragon's attacks did not stop. Kogath urgently needed a good idea, otherwise he won't survive the attacks much longer. Kogath's view is of a small hill with a rock. Kogath knew immediately that he could use this for a new attack. He ran behind the stone, waited a moment, and at the right moment he ran towards the dragon again and jumped towards it. With a strong blow, he struck the dragon's left wing with his battle axe. Another loud scream, and the dragon fell to the ground. Suddenly, 12 more dragons appeared and surrounded Kogath. Kogath knew that his last hour had come. To his surprise, another dragon even larger than the others appeared and said to Kogath, "My name is Drelo. I'm the commander of this troop. You truly fought bravely and strongly, little orc. What do you want here?" Kogath told Drelo what he was doing on Darkfire Mountain. The orc was granted an audience with Dracus. Kogath makes the offer to Dracus on behalf of the orcs. If the dragons support the orcs, then after the war they will have complete freedom again and can fly wherever they want. Dracus didn't have to think twice and agreed to the alliance. Thus, the first part of Okrag's plan was successfully completed. Okra could now move on to the next part of his plan.